All right, let's get into this. So, our first review of the day is going to be for The Penguin, which is a spinoff show there of the Batman film there that came out from Matt Reeves, and Matt Reeves is a producer on this as well there. And it's continuing Colin Farrell, who played Oswald Cobb, as he's known here, not Cobblepot there, as maybe some other DC Batman comic book fan know him as. Um, so it's continuing that character there onto his own show. Here, it's kind of following the aftermath of what happened at the end of the Batman. If people don't know, if people haven't seen that film, there, the Riddler ended up setting off bombs around the city, and then everything kind of went to shit there. And then now it's kind of a turf war between all these different gangs, these mob families there of who's going to really control the city after all this aftermath now, especially after the death of Falcone there, who we saw in the Batman, who in the Batman was played by John Turturro, but in here in the flashbacks is played by Mark Strong. Mark Strong, legendary character actor. He's been in everything you've seen him as, many, many different roles there. Chameleon of an actor, both literally because he's been every race. Imagine he's Italian in this, and then in one thing and then another thing he's Spanish. It's like, Spaniard there, everything.
I think in the credits they should have listed it as Mark Strong as John Turturro.
Yeah. I mean, he's basically been every single thing, every race you could possibly imagine. So you do have that kind of going on there with Mark Strong. But yeah, he provides I think a very solid stand-in for John Turturro there, who did a really good job as that character of Carmine Falcone there. And that's a character from the comics of Batman. He's part of one of the big crime families there. You also have Clancy Brown, who shows up as the head of the Maroni family, which is another big crime family from the Batman comics there. And it's kind of you following Oz as he's trying to navigate his way, scheme his way to the top there, trying to play both families against each other. How is he going to rise there? So we kind of see that in this show. So Sage, what are your thoughts on the Penguin there?
Well, just starting off, one of the like a pet peeve of mine in a lot of superhero stuff is you'll have some disaster or city destroying event or various levels of destruction. And then, you know, whatever the sequel is, or maybe it's a series, it'll be like, oh, the next season. It's always like, oh, 6 months later, a year later, we've skipped past the kind of recovery period. For this to be set in the recovery period, I think is really cool. I mean, it was something I was hoping for in the second movie to not to move too far ahead. But ultimately, I guess if that does take place after a lot of this has kind of been dealt with, I'm really grateful that this show is actually exploring the fallout on a more human level. I actually think that the way that the show shows flashbacks and kind of the direct fallout of the flooding of the city is actually more effective on like a human level than it was in the film.
Mm. Okay. Yeah. And that's a big part of this movie is the fallout of what happened, of what the Riddler did. They mention that numerous times throughout the show about what he did. Not and if you're expecting Batman to show up, Batman is not going to show up. Matt Reeves said he's not going to show up in the show, so that's not going to happen. So you're not going to see that happen. Even Bruce Wayne, I don't think is going to show up. I don't think so. Robin Pattinson is not going to show up at all in the show. So yeah, so you got that going on, and so there's maybe one reference to Batman at the beginning of this show there at the very first episode, but that's pretty much it that you got there. But they do make a lot of reference to the Riddler, and it's like, hey, look what that crazy guy did, and did all this, and then with the character Victor, he actually lived in the neighborhood that was most affected by the bombs, and you see that when he goes back to his neighborhood there. And Victor's this kid that the Penguin kind of unwittingly, kind of takes under his wing there after one night there. Almost kinda like, Batman in a sense there. He's got his own, like, kind of protege that he's kinda taken under his wing, kinda how he met, who was that? Who was the Robin that tried to jack the Batmobile? Wasn't that
Oh, you talking about Tim?
Tim? Yeah, he tried to jack the Batmobile. Something also happened with Victor there, where they were trying to boost his ride there, and the Penguin's got a nice ride too. He's got a nice purple there ride he's got on, so he's riding in style there. I wonder if they
Chrome finish on it.
Yeah, I wonder if they debated on making the car black and white. I wonder if they debated on that, try to make it
Mm,
like would that have been too obvious to make it black and white?
maybe, but at the same time, it also would blend in with just the colors that you see cars typically
Mm,
being more. I feel like the chrome like plum finish color is like more outrageous.
mm, yeah. So it's a nice ride for sure. So yeah, you see the kid, him and some other group of kids there were trying to jack his ride, and then he kind of takes this kid with him and is like, okay, well, you're gonna help me, cover up this crime I just did. And that crime being him killing Alberto Falcone there, who's the son of Carmine Falcone, who's like he was kind of the person that was supposed to take over for the Falcone crime family after his father died, but obviously with Penguin stepped in on that there. So yeah. And by the way, he's not gonna be Cyborg. I don't think that's gonna happen. A lot of people drew the connection with the name of Victor, and then that's also the name of Cyborg. Is like, yeah, I don't think he's gonna be Cyborg.
just
Yeah.
just because of the name Victor. I also saw people trying to be like, "Oh, is he going to turn out to be Zaz?" I'm like, "No, Zaz is a psychopath from birth. This is just his own character. This is
Yeah.
totally just his own character, and I think a really good, well written, well performed character too, for being just this completely original addition to the story. I'm really invested in here. Like I said, I think through him they actually do a better job of making the disaster at the end of the first movie feel just more relatable or scary on like a human level. I think his character is primarily the vehicle in which that happens.
Yeah. And because you see, he's kind of got like PTSD from the bombs there, as you see, from that happening. He's kind of, he goes to a club and sees these lights, and it kind of, it triggers him a little bit there from that incident there. So it's played by Rennie Falez there, who people might have seen. He was in a Marvel show. He was in The Runaways. He was the lead in that show.
Okay, I thought I recognized him from that. Okay.
Yeah, he was the main guy in that. So and him and also Oz kind of share a little bit of a bond there as far as he's people call him, insultingly the penguin there because he's a gimp, he's a gimp, which is a insulting name for his disability. You see him kind of hobbling and kind of around there. He's got that kind of walk there. So it's an insulting name to him. So he's kind of got that. And then also with Victor here, he's got a stutter, so he has trouble there sometimes there getting out words, tripping over his words sometimes there. So yeah, so they kind of share a little bit of a bond there as far as that in life, there of like hardship there. So it's like Penguins had to you see fight for kind of everything he's had and move up the position in the family there. So yeah, and now he's kind of trying to strike out on his own. Um, so I think that's really good. I think you see that kind of connection there, through that and through that character. They always do that sometimes, like a hardened killer. You know what I mean? They'll partner him up with a little kid to kind of give a little bit of a softer side. It's like, oh well, maybe this guy ain't so bad after all. You know what I mean? He's kind of nice to a kid. You know what I mean? He's got his mother there who he's nice to. Who his mother has got dementias in the throes of that, so he
When
won't.
her real personality comes through, though, not maybe so nice.
Yeah, I mean, and his mother here is played by Deandra O'Connell here, who's his mother there. Really great cast as well. You got a really lot of great people here. Clancy Brown, as I mentioned as well. You have Carmen
DC
Iago.
legacy actor.
Yeah. Yeah, Carmen Iago, who's in this, who plays the love interest of Oswald Cobblepot, and you've also seen her in many things before as well. There, you also have Sophia Falcone, is played by Christine Milioti. There,
I am very impressed with her in particular. I mean, I think everybody in the show is great, but it's also Sophia Falcone is a character that hasn't really had much time in adaptations. Like the most screen time I can think of, maybe before this, is like the Long Halloween animated movie, and even then, it's she's got a relatively small part in that. But I think she is just blowing it out of the water here. She is phenomenal. She's just got so much screen presence It's really just captivating.
Mhm. Yeah, and her whole story, because she gets, like, her own backstory episode, which is in episode 4, where you
Hmm.
see kinda her whole thing of, like, what happened to her because she you see at the beginning of this series, she gets released from Arkham, and then she has this title of being called the Hangman, this, like, psychotic serial killer there. So she has to kinda deal with that stigma coming out of Arkham, and then also deal with the fact that her brother was dead, her brother got killed there, so she thinks it's the Maronis who did that, so now it's like it's setting off a turf war there. Her position, she's trying to rise up in the family because it's like, she's a woman, so obviously that means a lot of people are not gonna trust her to run the family, so she has to prove herself to do that. So she has her own kind of motivations there kinda going on, to, 1, get revenge for her brother's killer, who she doesn't know is the Penguin at the beginning of this, but later on, you know what I mean? But we know by episode 5 that she obviously knows that there now. So things have kind of gotten a little bit worse for Oswald. But yeah, Christine does a really amazing job here in this Sophia Falcone there. Um, Especially the episode 4, I think is where she really shines, which is just her episode there, really mainly of her backstory and everything like that. And that was one of the highest rated episodes, IMDb, 9.8. It got out of 10 there. Yeah. So really, really great episode there. Yeah.
Cool. Surprising, like use of kind of smaller, obscure DC characters too, because they throw in as one of the other prisoners with her and her flashbacks during her time in Arkham. They throw in the character Magpie, which I was kind of like amazed that they would even use that character. And it feels like they really have a good intent to flesh out this universe in a way that maybe you haven't seen as much in live action before. Like you get your movies, each film, that you have the villains that they do, but yeah, having like this mini series in between is allowing some just really interesting world building. And I'm kind of in a unsure state with it, but I think there's another big Batman villain that might be making an appearance here, but I don't know. Time will tell, I guess.
Yeah. Lucky Dog Podcast. How's it going there, man? Much appreciated there. He says Penguin has been way better than expected. There, so that's what he says there. Um,
Certainly, I was looking forward to the show, but I didn't expect it to be as enjoyable as it has been.
Aku said, I need the first season of The Penguin to finish so I can watch it entirely. It looks promising and good as fuck. I just hope it is that not a major slop. Good old crime dramas are good like The Sopranos, and that it's been getting compared to The Sopranos a little bit there. I've never seen The Sopranos, but a lot of people, I guess, mob stuff, mob family war. A lot of people are going to draw comparisons to Sopranos. Obviously, it's a big
It's
one there.
definitely got that energy. I mean, I also felt, I think during especially the kind of the way that episode 3 ends and the cliffhanger that kind of ends on, I was have kind of getting almost a little bit of Breaking Bad vibes, a little bit.
Mm, yeah, why Breaking Bad vibes?
Well, there's a particular moment in Breaking Bad where, and I was waiting for them to do it, and he he comes in, Vic comes in at the last moment and runs these guys over that are holding Oswald up in a
Oh,
very similar way to how there's an episode of Breaking Bad that ends with. I mean, in Breaking Bad, it's a little more out of nowhere the way it happens, and with Penguin, it's kind of set up and you see it coming a little bit. But just the tension and the cornered on all sides kind of, it's these two characters. You got an older guy and a younger guy. They are paired together here. The older character, you know, you kind of don't know if he's got truly the best of intentions for this younger guy, even though he does mentor him. And it's like, how dark is the path that he's going to lead him down? And then being cornered on all sides by these various gangs and then different groups. And they're also peddling drugs, right? That's the whole thing, is they're also trying to kind of make it big off of a new drug that they're selling here. So I'm getting a lot of notes of Breaking Bad kind of mixed in there as well.
hmm, okay. See that a little bit there. And obviously, what really sells this show is the performance of Colin Farrell as the Penguin there, who I thought did really well in the Batman film there. So it makes sense why he would kind of get his own show there, and especially following, kind of more of the crime in the city kind of going on. And a lot of this, they said, I think at the end of this show is supposed to lead into Batman 2 because I think Batman 2 is supposed to take place like a couple of weeks after this ends.
I think it was. I think it's supposed to be like within the same week that this ends. Or
Okay.
it's like right after because the Batman movie takes place right around Halloween, right? And then this is in November, and so it's supposed to be like early winter, I think, when the Batman 2 starts.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, it's supposed to be, yeah, that's the theme for Batman 2, is kinda early winter-ish.
Wonder what villain that could imply.
I don't know, maybe he'll throw everybody off, bring in Bane or something like that. He's like, "Oh, you expect Mr. Freeze, bring in Bane." Bring in
Get
Calendar Man.
Captain Cold from the Flash instead.
Yeah, Cold, somebody like that. But yeah, it's
Well, it's funny you
interesting.
should mention Calendar Man there because that's I'm kind of on the fence if I think that this character might be, but as we know, Matt Reeves likes to kind of mess around with like last names a little bit and maybe not keep those 100% the way they are, maybe to make them less like obvious. But how are you feeling about Sophia's therapist as a
So
character?
Sophia's therapist in this, who got revealed in episode 4, who's played by Theo Rossi, who people might know. Theo Rossi, he was in Sons of Anarchy. If people ever watched that, he's been
The
in.
big villain in Luke Cage as well.
Yep, he was the villain in Luke Cage. He played Shades in Luke Cage. They was the villain in that. So he usually plays kind of villains typically in the stuff that he's in there. So you're thinking he might be like a calendar man there.
I don't know. I'm on the fence, but I'm kind of right in the middle. His last name is different, but his name is Julian. That is Calendar Man's name in the comics is Julian Day.
Okay. He says, I have no idea what you're talking about, but I'm digging
Uh,
the skeleton thingy there on the back of Sage there.
oh,
I guess.
which one? I got a bunch of them. I got a few here. This was a
Yeah.
popcorn. This is another popcorn bucket I got actually.
What was
So
that from, Coco or?
no, they just had it kind of randomly at the theater.
Oh, wow, that's a
Lights
nice
up
one.
even.
Okay. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's a also this one right behind me too that was
Yeah.
oh, yes. So Julian Day is the name of Calendar Man in the comics, and well, as we know, obviously, the Penguin is Cobb instead of Cobblepot, um, and he likes to kind of mess around with last names to try and maybe make the characters feel more real or more grounded. And so maybe I could very easily see him thinking, "Oh, if he's Calendar Man, his last name shouldn't be Day because it's too much of an obvious like." Play on words. So I don't know. You bring a character in named Julian. He's works at Arkham. He's a psychiatrist. He's a very smart, intelligent character. Um, and then the other thing too is there's notes of some of the Calendar Man stories in the comics here, where in particular the stuff with Sophia Falcone and this idea of the hangman killer that she was put in Arkham for being accused of being. Now it's very it seems like the show is pointing towards Carmine, right? Her father having been this killer, and having kind of framed his daughter for that when she started moving against him. But I could easily see, especially because that's only in the first half of the show, that they're kind of pointing the finger at Carmine.
Mhm.
I could easily see there being more to it. And the kind of hangman killer motif is reminiscent of some of the kills and killings that Calendar Man has done in the comics. So I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence. I think it could totally turn out to be him or totally not. I think it could really go either way.
Okay. Because Sophia Falcone in the comics, isn't she known as the Hangman, and she actually did commit crimes
No,
there?
even in the comics, that was something she was framed for, I believe. I don't 100% quote me on that, but I believe that it was a frame job even in the comics.
Okay, it was a frame job even in the comics. Okay. Um, so yeah, cat in the house. They Echo said the cat walking by there behind Sage there. Yeah. So yeah, you got that kind of going on, and then you've mentioned kind of like the Breaking Bad element of it, and then we saw in the preview of it, like they have the new drug out in the street that is gonna hit there. So I guess it's gonna move on. I forgot what do they call the new drug? Do they have a name for it?
Ooh.
Because
They did have a name for it, and it's like grown out of mushrooms, right?
yeah, because the drops is kinda like the drug slang that they have in this Batman universe that all the people are taking. They call them dope heads, and they call them drop heads. They call them drop heads.
The drug is called Bliss.
Bliss, okay. So you kinda got that. So Bliss is and then it's like this red type kinda thing there. You saw in the preview that I just played. Yeah, so it's like even there, kinda like because Breaking Bad had like the blue, crystal meth there.
Yep.
They had that kinda going on. So he's even that element there of like this new drug on the street that's gonna hit the streets, and we're gonna make all this money from it, and that's kinda the big thing there, and a lot of all these people gonna buy it up. And then, you kinda got that element as well with this. And yeah, I mean, Colin Farrell does such a great job here as the Penguin with this how he's able to lie so effortlessly, and then how he's kind of playing this game between all these different families there, trying to keep your story straight.
And just
He's
turning on a dime too. Like he's so quick on his feet, he's able to just immediately just flip.
Yeah, I mean, he's that good, and he's come so many times close to death, so many times in the show there, that it's just always amazing of like, yeah, how is he kind of going to get out of this one? And if nobody's ever heard before Colin Farrell's performance there as the Penguin, here's a little bit of it right here, just in case people get a sense of it and what he does kind of with the voice and that everything like that.
Hold up there, Chief. It's a nice sunrise behind you. Just take a look. Go on.
Please don't do this. No. Hey, who are you? No, no, no. Hey, 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 hey. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hey, stop.
You have one of these?
Yeah. And that's Colin Farrell buried under all that makeup, all those prosthetics there. And it takes like 5 hours, I think they said, for him to get on that.
That's crazy.
And then after this series, he says, like, I never want to do this shit again. He said, I never want to get this shit ever
His name
again.
He's confirmed as part of the cast for the
is
Batman
the new
2,
king.
though,
Or
right?
was the new
Yeah,
kingpin of
I
the
think so
Falcone Mob.
there.
So,
Yeah.
so
But
he's
maybe he
doing
doesn't
it again.
maybe he doesn't want to do it for a TV show. He has to do it maybe kind of more
Fair.
daily
That's a
there, but
lot less time.
maybe for a
And then
movie there.
I did pull this up too. I just want to make sure I correct this as well. So she does turn out to be the Hangman killer in the comic book Dark Victory, and then in the first book that's a sequel to Long Halloween, the Holiday Killer is the killer that turns out to be somebody else, and then it's in the sequel that she is revealed as the Hangman.
Okay. So you think that's maybe what they're gonna do here, or you think they're gonna keep it as she's framed there?
It I don't know. It seems so unlikely that it would be her in the way that they've done it in the show. Um, and I mean, I also think it's could be cool to play against the expectation of fans of going into it thinking, oh, she's going to be the Hangman, and then flipping it and having it be either Carmine or perhaps even Calendar Man, and kind of messing around with stuff because you have the Holiday Killer and then the Hangman as the two killers in Long Halloween, Dark Victory back to back. So it could be interesting to play around with stuff in that way. You don't necessarily need to stick to every detail of the lore of the comics. I mean, these are like 80, like I said, 85 years. So to see just like a straight adaptation isn't totally necessary. You can mess around with things. So right now, I don't think she's going to be the killer, but I don't know. We'll see. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe they'll do something like that.
Uh,
Maybe it'll be closer
Aku
than I
mentioned, I guess
expect.
he didn't kill Victor because Victor has a speech impediment and he can see himself on him since Penguin was looked down by others. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
you see that a lot. They kind of bonded over that a little bit. Like there's a scene where they're on the subway and then Penguin, there's a seat for a disabled person there and he kind of just looks at the seat and doesn't sit in it there. So it's kind of seeing that, yeah, I mean, he, has had it kind of rough there, but he doesn't want to be looked down on others there and kind of want to makes it his own way, doesn't want to be pitied there. But you also see that, Oswald is also quick to anger there too when people, talk about his condition, talk about the fact that he is that way, call him the penguin there.
he wasn't even planning on killing Alberto in the first episode. He just did it in the moment.
Yeah. I mean, just that quickly there, because of what Alberta was saying to him. So he does have a trigger there that you kind of see kind of going on there, with that. And as far as what we see, and if people haven't watched, we are going to talk about episode 5 there up to that point there because we're doing a mid-season review. So we see the beginning of the series there, as we said there, Oswald, who did kill Alberto. Sophia comes out. She's trying to figure out who killed her brother. And then she thinks it's Oswald at first there. But then, he plans a plant there. He uses Victor to set up the Maronis there as being the ones that killed Alberto. Then so it's all they're trying to set up a gang war there between them. And then Sophia Falcone there, she realizes when it comes to episode, I think it's the fourth or the fifth episode there.
So it's it well, so it's the end of episode 3, and then you don't quite see what happens because you see it from Victor's point of view in the car, and then it's the beginning of episode 4 that it cuts to the conversation that Penguin and Sophia and the Maronis are having in that same moment. So it's the opening of episode 4 where she is realizing it. But I love how they play that because again, it's just he's so quick to betray if he feels like it's what he should do in the moment. Because right in episode 3, at the end, it's like it feels like he's actually winning her trust over in
Yeah,
that last scene. Like he's really like actually got to her and really made her feel like he's reliable and trustworthy. And then they get caught, and then the car crash happens, and then Penguin gets in the passenger seat. And Vic's like, well, what about Sophia? And it's like within 5 minutes, he's like, fuck her, leave her. And his turnaround is so fast.
yeah. I mean, the way he's able to sell it is really great there. Cause like I forgot that actress's name, but the one that's the wife of Clancy Brown's character, she's also there of the crime family. She's been in a bunch of stuff
Mhm.
there as well. Voices as well, video games. She was in Mass Effect there. Very
Yeah,
distinctive voice there. She
yeah,
has.
very memorable.
So yeah, she's the one that, he was going to the Maronis there and said, I'll work with you and we'll do this and we'll get rid of the Falcones there. And he's like trying to set up this other, kind of to grow the new drug there, find a spot for that. But since that got blown up by the both of them, realizing he's full of shit, both the families there. Now he found out this tunnel system, this old tunnel system, which people remark like Batman and him use the same tunnel system. So, are run into each other eventually in that same kind of tunnel system.
Eh, in the Adam West series in the 60s, Burgess Meredith's Penguin is, I believe, the first villain to actually make it inside the Batcave. So just
Mm,
saying.
well, they might do that then. Yeah, because they operate on the same tunnel system, but he finds a new base of operations there. Yeah, but the ability just to turn that quick on down when his life, when he feels like he's in danger, and then sell it is really great there. And her realizing that, because like through those episodes, because it's he makes her think that it's her and him, and then he's going to help her take over the family there from her uncle Luca, who's positioned as the new going to be the new head of the Falcone family. So he really makes her buy it, and then you even buy it as an audience member there. And then how he's sucking in Victor into this life as well, and then he has an opportunity to get out of it, and he doesn't. He has an opportunity to do it, but he gets sucked in kind of by it because I mean, this is a chance to get respect and power and influence and money, something he's never had before. Especially again, seeing where he came from and seeing what happened to his place there. And I think they also say that his parents died during the bombings, right? They were saying that.
Yes, yeah, yeah. You see a little bit in the flashback him at home with his mother and father, and then he's like on the rooftop at a party, and they see the bombs going off, and he watches his apartment building from like across a couple of blocks just get ripped in half.
Yeah. So, yeah, that. Any weak spots for you with this show? Yeah.
Honestly, so far, no. Um, I really like I've been trying to think about kind of big critiques I might have or big negatives, but nothing really sticks out. I mean, like I liked the Matt Reeves Batman movie a lot, but I did have some issues with it. There's certain things about it that I didn't think totally worked. Still liked it a lot, but if that was like, you know, for me, more of like a tune in. Uh, I think this is rising above that movie to me. It's I think it's actually a more tightly wound story. It's got stronger character work for its entire cast. And yeah, I don't really have any negatives, at least not yet.
Mm, okay. Yeah, and where it kind of ends off here in this mid-season, because they've done 5 episodes, so they're gonna do 8, so it's 3 more
Yeah.
episodes left. Is like so now you see that Sophia Falcone and Salvatore Maroni are teaming up to go against the Penguin. So you see what's gonna happen there. How is he gonna survive that, especially after what Penguin did, especially to the Maroni family. That which was wow, that was hardcore. That was kind of rough there. So that was kind of rough. So yeah, you're gonna see a lot of that going on. So how can he survive that? Because I mean, obviously he is because he's gonna be in Batman 2. He's gotta be in Batman 2. But
Right.
you know, you kind of got that. Does that kind of weaken a little bit knowing that well, some of these characters, are kind of plot armor safe because they gotta be in like Batman 2 and everything like that?
Um, I mean, I could see how it might have that effect for some people. For me, it doesn't, just because I mean, I've read comic books pretty much my whole life. I've been into all the superhero comic book based stuff for so long that it kind of comes with the territory of storytelling in maybe not even superhero stuff, I guess storytelling in general. If there's a sequel, if you know there's going to be a sequel, you know that the main character of a thing's probably making it out. So I don't think it necessarily hurts it, because I think it's more about how does he get out of it than does he get out of it. I think that's more what the fun of it is. So it doesn't really hurt it for me.
Mm, okay. Who do you think is gonna make it out? You think that the main 3 is gonna make it out? Oz, Sophia,
I
Salvatore?
think I think Penguin's the only one that's solidly for sure gonna live. Like they could keep Sophia around, they could keep Salvatore Maroni around, for future stories, but the evolution of the Batman universe, pretty much in every version of it, there's always a transition from mob crime to the supervillains, or even if in this universe it's more grounded, serial killer villain characters. So I think by the time we're getting into a second movie, probably going to be Mr. Freeze if we're doing the winter setting and all that. Maybe we'll still have some gangster activity around, but I feel like Penguin is going to be the lens in which you view all the gangster elements of the story. So I I feel like Baroni's probably definitely going to go before this is over. Sophia, maybe we'll see. Um, I mean, I think this is the only time, and then by default, I guess the best, but also just such an incredible performance for this character. I wonder if they might want to keep her around just because no one else has really explored Sophia Falcone to this degree before outside of comics. Um, but I don't know. Well, and then I'll throw the question back at you. Do you think Penguin kills Victor by the end? Do you think he's enough of a bastard that by the
Mm,
time this is over and he's really got what he wants, does he actually keep him around, or or no? Because I think that's going to be the big question for is how bad of a person is Penguin really, and whether or not he kills Victor is going to be like the. I think that'll be the mission statement at the end of the show of no, this is how bad Penguin is.
mm. Um, hmm. I'm gonna say maybe Victor lives because I think the point of Victor and his character maybe it's to show how evil really corrupts there, and I think that's a part of it. So to see him become what Penguin was for the, Falcone family, there, it's like he started off as the driver. You see that it's like he was just Sophia's, driver there, and he got kind of no respect there, and he kind of built his way up. And I think it's going to be maybe a little bit like that, maybe where he sees that, and he's kind of going to maybe come up there in that way, and kind of do that. But I could also see where maybe not Penguin kills him, but he leaves him out to dry, like, he sacrifices him to, in order to save his own life. I could also see that there as well, kinda going on. I don't know if this is supposed to get a season 2. Haven't heard any word about it. Have you heard any word about a season 2? I have not.
I haven't either. I mean, I know Matt Reeves has said that he wants to do like more miniseries, but that could be that. I mean, that could be more Penguin. That could be another miniseries based on a different character. Penguin could be a supporting role in like another show down the line. So yeah, I haven't heard anything one way or the other. But I know that they do want to expand the world through more limited runs like this.
Yeah. So Lauren LaFranc here says there's always room for more and a potential like Penguin season 2. So nothing really official, just kind of throwing it out there. Says like, well, maybe. Yeah, this is the showrunner of Penguin. It says Gotham is ripe to tell so many stories. The comics have shown that through decades and decades. I love this version of Gotham too. I love all the characters that we've gotten to explore in this world. Stressing on the Penguin season 2, the showrunner added. Um, I think there's always room for more of that, if the story can be even better, absolutely. Yeah, and so the ending of Penguin will lead into Matt Reeves' Batman Part 2, and Colin Farrell is also confirmed to return for it, there. But talking about comeback for potential season 2 on Max hasn't, he wasn't sure, Farrell said, as far as a comeback for season 2 there. So yeah, kind of got that on. Yeah, so I don't know how long they want to kind of continue it for. Yeah, but I would love for Sophia Falcone to be alive and to be in the Batman movies. I think she would be good there. Even though that she renamed the Falcone family to the what was the new name?
Oh,
I forgot the
ooh, I don't remember.
I
Honestly.
think it was maybe her mother's name there that she kind of named it
Oh
to.
yeah, what was the mother's last name? Uh,
Yeah, I forgot exactly what the mother's lab, but she renamed the Falcon.
Gigante.
Oh, okay, that was the
Gigante.
okay. Yeah, so they renamed it there. So yeah, I would love to see it, Herb show up there, especially if nothing else, just also to see her wardrobe in it because her wardrobe is fantastic in this show. I mean, what they do with that A+, what they do with the wardrobe in this show.
That yellow dress, man. Oh,
Yeah. A lot of people talking about this yellow dress. Yeah, this was also much talked about there on Twitter and everything like that when this episode came out in episode 4. And she also does something pretty heinous in this episode as well. And kind of what she does, basically eliminate her whole family there.
yeah,
That
that was some Godfather Part 2 type shit.
yeah, that was pretty hardcore there. Um, yeah, so, yeah, just to see her return for that there. And yeah, like I said, Christine Milioti does such a great performance here as well. And it's a shame she hasn't been in the movie since Palm Springs, which was like 4 years ago. And that was a good movie too. I love
Wow.
Palm Springs there. That was the movie with Andy Samberg in it.
Mm,
She should definitely be in more stuff in it.
maybe this will be a big launch for her.
Maybe, yeah. I hope to see her in definitely more stuff there.
I think
So
she should probably be up for award season when the Emmy comes around.
you think for this, you think she deserves
I
it?
think so.
Mm,
At least just maybe. I mean, it's I guess supporting nomination, maybe not like the lead character nomination, but I think so.
okay. So what will be your mid-season rating for Penguin?
I guess the only reason I won't go to a This Is Cinema is I don't know how it's going to turn out yet, and I want to see it play out. But I'm going to give this first half a peek. I think this is some of the best TV I've seen in a while. I like I said after some of these episodes, it's genuinely the most excited I've been to see like the next episode of like a crime show since Breaking Bad was airing back in like 2007 to like 2013. I think from the character work to the script writing to the the performances, also really great soundtrack too. I think the music in this has been fantastic. Like every song choice that like plays each episode out at the end, it's been a really good soundtrack. And then also, to just cap off my final thoughts, I think it's the most fleshed out we've ever seen the city of Gotham in anything. You get the Gotham in all these movies, um, and you get a lot of good versions of it. And I liked the way the city was depicted in the Matt Reeves Batman film, and how gothic it felt, and kind of almost like modern day and the 70s and the 40s all mixed together at once, and a little bit of a timeless feel to it. But this show just it feels like you just get to see so much of the city and so much more of regular people moving around in their day-to-day lives and the seedy underworld. Yeah, I mean, I think it's doing things that like no other Batman adaptation has 100% nailed, stuff like that. Um, and yeah, I mean, I think it's hands down the best story about the Penguin I think that's ever been done.
Mm,
Uh,
wow.
Burgess Meredith being, I think, my runner-up favorite.
Mm, okay. You, not Danny DeVito.
Yeah, I like Danny DeVito, but Tim Burton's Mutant Penguin Man is such a different thing from from what the character is in the comics. Believe it or not, I really actually would say that the Adam West Penguin is a closer adaptation to the comic books than the Tim Burton one.
Mm,
I enjoy it. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy it quite a bit. It's just I don't. Sometimes it's hard for me to think of those as Batman movies and not just Tim Burton movies. You know.
mm, yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think Colin Farrell takes it as the best Penguin that we've ever had. And yeah, I think Burgess Meredith is the number two. I just finished. That's on the mind. I just finished watching all of the Adam West Batman very recently. So
What about the My Chemical Romance Penguin? What about him? You like?
you know what? I'll be honest. That actor was probably the best part of that Gotham show. As much as I think that show was not good, that actor was putting in overtime. So he was not bad. I would say Burgess Meredith takes it as at number two though.
Mm, okay. Very nice. I could see this Colin Farrell penguin biting somebody's nose off. I can see that with him.
I can see it. They piss him off enough.
Yeah. So yeah, you gave it a tune in there so far or
Peak.
peak? Okay, you gave it a
I'm
peak.
giving it a peak. I'm only not going the 1 point higher just because I want to see how it plays out, and it's yet to be a totally complete narrative. But I mean, if it keeps up this quality by the end of the season, then it will be a this is cinema for me.
Okay. I give it a strong tune in myself. I enjoyed it. It's something good to watch week to week. I think there. It's something I go like, hey, if you don't even have to be a Batman fan to check this out. Like that's not really important to this. To know Batman lore or anything like that. Do you have to see the Batman to get into this? Not really. I think they do a good job at setting up the universe of setting up what happened there, the events of things to get into this world. So I don't think you even need to see the Batman in order to enjoy this. Like, yeah, if you just want to enjoy good kind of crime type story there, if you're craving for that, if you're a fan of something like Breaking Bad, if you're a fan of something like The Sopranos, kind of that kind of crime drama type stuff there, I think this does a good job at feeling that craving for people. And then also yeah, I mean, people love the comic book stuff as well, the lore and all that stuff. So there's there for people there to snack on. If you get maybe some of the Easter eggs there that's in this as well, you can maybe enjoy that for that bit there. Wonderful performances from this strong cast all around there. Really terrific writing there as well. Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to see where this goes. Only a few episodes left of this, so hopefully it ends strongly. I think it will, given how well it's been doing so far. And just say, yeah, who's gonna make it out? Well, Oswald's gonna make it out, but who else is gonna possibly make it out is interesting to see and how that's kind of gonna happen there. Yeah. So I give it a strong tune in. Say she gives us a peek for the Penguin, which is on Max right now. People can check it out. I don't know. I wonder if it's gonna get a DVD release. Probably not. But
I feel like HBO stuff tends to get a physical release more than like Netflix stuff does.
Mm. Okay, so we'll see. See, maybe it gets a physical release. I'd love to see some behind the scenes stuff with this.
Yeah, physical media always for the better.
Yeah, very good.
I got my
Um,
whole Batman set right here even.
very nice. So yeah, that was our review of the Penguin mid-season review there.